Coach Stephen Neal. It's fun saying Coach Stephen Neal. I love being able to pick your brain in the wrestling room. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about PNL itself and exactly what we're doing here with the league and the people that are in it. So if you could just kind of expand a little bit about what you know about the PNL and your experience with it so far.
Yeah, pretty excited about the PNL, the Premier National League. It's a great concept. I've seen it work on different sports. My daughters play volleyball, and they developed a Premier League amongst the club teams in Southern California. The level of competition was so high and so intense week after week. You're getting the exact competition you need that when you get to the national level, a lot of our teams are able to succeed at that higher level. And I think the idea of this league is the same thing. You're going to get the top clubs, having the elite competition, and the people in your clubs that aren't the highest level, they're going to get to wrestle the kids at their level, and they're going to be able to have that competition that's going to help them in the tougher tournaments.
So you get a variety, a mix of like, okay, ones and fives do wrestle each other eventually if they get into the bracket, but more times than not, you're getting similar level of competition, and that's a big deal,
Yeah, I think it's really huge because you can get frustrated and you can get down on yourself when you wrestle someone who's way above your level. And I've always thought and tried to, if you're wrestling someone way higher level, then you have to do everything perfect. Stay in a great stance, minimize the crazy wrestling, because you can't really improve if you're doing dumb stuff against someone that's really good. So you got to stay solid and just understand I'm wrestling for these positions, and if you get beat wrestling solid, then you can work on that. If you get beat wrestling crazy, you can't improve at all. You're just wasting time. And so it's good to be able to wrestle people your level and try to stay solid position and improve.
One of the things that I hear you saying in the room a lot, and it really it made a big impression on me, because it's a simple concept, but and maybe you can talk about it a little bit, is stay where you're good. You were great from the open position, from long range. You were great. Getting these kids to wrestle where they're good is really difficult sometimes. How do you get any of these athletes to understand where they're good and how to get there?
Yeah, it's kind of tough. It's not like football where you can do statistics on every play, but you should be able to have some kind of statistics in your brain, like, hey, every time I give up an underhook, I get taken down. So let's stay out of that, clear that hook. Let's stay, here. But you got to find a tie that you feel comfortable in and that you have success in. And if you fight for those positions, fight for those ties, you can have a lot of success. I didn't have a ton of technique early on, and I knew where I was good and where I was bad, and I really tried hard to stay in the areas where I was good. And then later on, I developed more techniques, and I could wrestle from a lot more positions. But early on, I had a really small path to victory, and if I stayed on there, I had a good chance to win. And then later on, when I had more techniques, I had a little wider path. But I think it's
stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, understand your path to victory, and fight hard to stay on it.
So you're talking about path to victory. A lot of the coaches in this PNL have had a lot of paths to victory. There's some high-level coaches here. Talk a little bit about the level of coaching and what it brings to the league.
I think it's really cool. The amount of coaches that are here that have had success, I think they understand you don't get good in one day, you don't get good at one tournament. There's a developmental process, and this is going to really aid in that development. You're going to be around a lot of the top-level guys if you're lower, and then you can see what they're doing. I think that's huge, is watching these guys that are really good in practice, in competition. You're going to get a clinic the next day. You're going to be in and out of here, and it's not going to be an all-day thing where you're sleeping in the bleachers and hurting your back. So I think it's really cool having the amount of knowledge here, and then also the understanding of this is not the NCAA tournament. This is an opportunity for us to improve and get better.